Good morning, everybody. So we are back to choppy trading. Did it ever stop? So trading range, futures, S&P futures here developing here, and more tariff news. You missed that? Trump saying he's considering tariffs again, 25% or more. Autos, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals. Oh well. Anyway, it seemed like things might be ready to take off. We'll see where the day ends, but as you can see here, prices are kind of grinding lower within this range. Really not a big deal. Um, and like any on any time frame, any bar, it's like, okay, what does the bar look like as we getting close to the end of the day? So playing bar by bar analysis. We've talked about the bottoming tail bars, gap reversals, bottoming tail bar, wider bar, you know, a little bottoming tail bar on it, and range contraction, tightening up at resistance. So today, so far, is an inside day, no big deal. We'll see. Anybody cares about tariffs, what it does. Does it stay in the top of the range, which would be positive, which would encourage the thought of it moving higher. And you know what? Even if it closes weak, and unless it's a big, wide range negative bar, nothing much is really happening other than just these whips back and forth. So traders, institutions just keep buying the dips, big dips. Maybe they buy more. But things are tightening up here, and which would suggest, not more than suggest, it confirms that the belief is increasing that you have to buy the dip, but smaller dips because it's getting ready to go. And so that being said, it better get going relatively soon because after a certain amount of time, you know, demand begins to wane or confidence begins to wane and then it drops. So we're in waiting mode to see what's going to happen. Qs, NASDAQ was similar yesterday. It's got room to go up. It's just chopping back and forth here as everybody waits to see what's going to move the markets. There's FOMC minutes today at 2 o'clock. I wouldn't think it's going to be a mover, but who knows? Just look at the weekly chart here. The prior week was a bullish wide range bar. So it would be normal for prices to consolidate on the daily time frame because of the previous week being a big wide bar, which means it had some type of an accelerated run. And so like when we look at a wide range bar, does the run come at the beginning of the move? Does it come at the end of the move? In any event, this is sideways at resistance, so not much of anything happening. And so discounting news, technically, things are relatively normal. YM getting tighter. Yesterday, we I like to look at in the green room, talked about this contracting, lower pivot highs, higher pivot lows, and the contraction, the differences between supply and demand, sellers and buyers, and it's beginning to reach a point where it's getting tight enough to where one side or the other, has to concede and things move one way or another. So we wait. This was preceded by a strong momentum move, and which would suggest it's going to break to the upside, but we never know until we know. And so we will wait. One thing of interest that happened yesterday, and you'll see it on the spiders as well. And I always, when I see this, I was like, you know what? That kind of buying right into the close like a buying frenzy into the close, often leads to not what you would think, like an immediate push. Um, it obviously positive. It shows confidence into the close, buying on the close. But many times it doesn't result in a continuation move immediately. But there was that extreme confidence, and we see things aren't really going much of anywhere. But news aside, technically, it's just a phenomenon that when you see that kind of enthusiasm into the close like that, it often doesn't follow through. Hey, the Russell, man, waiting. We were hopeful that it could break out above these levels over here, and it moved down, and you can see, the declining 50, over the top of its head, and the 50 there. And not that that really means resistance, because look, moving averages are subjective. I put these on exponential or something else, and you see they're in a different place. So these are just simple moving averages. Over the years, they've been pretty good to use. And as we look at the ETF, where are you? You can see if they're in the same place or not. They happen to be. Yesterday closed green. And you admit those in the green. Remember, I was saying, hey, you know what? This daily doesn't look good, but the 5 minute was starting to shape up, and it whipped around, and then eventually, it kind of came back together. And I said, maybe this could turn into a red bar ignored. And it has. And now it's gapping below the green bar overall, just in a trading range. So lots of chop going on here. And I wanted to share, I shared this with Dan this morning. So far, the results of the advisory letter. And going through these, and you can see, you know, gain, total loss, happy it's a gain, quite a number of trades, wins versus losses. And so looking through the trades, I mentioned to Dan, the gains have been like bottoming patterns, making these pops. And, that's nice. Sometimes, they do, and sometimes they they're more erratic. And there were quite a number of them, similar patterns that they didn't go anywhere. And so, they were killed. And so obviously, losses and management gains overall so far, you can see here for the month, it's a gain. But I just, sharing that the erratic market environment is, just one in which can become a struggle. And others that are trending, they tend to make you believe you're a genius. And, these type kind of, the reality is, it's kind of just hard work to find things and manage them properly. Right. All right. Um, yeah. SMHs held up pretty well yesterday. They're just chopping around here. They've got room to fill that gap. So that could be a place that helps some trades, where things continue to move up. Um, so again, they haven't reached resistance. So that's one area I think might be able to continue to participate. Yeah, you can share the MTN was a nice one yesterday. The short, Dan will share that with you. He's moving the stop. Thank you, Alex, for that. All right, gold up here, bullish 180. It's retesting that pivot high, topping tail bar, big wide trading range, still bullish. Does it make sense to change the MAs for stocks versus futures? Same time frames, but different amount of look back. I would say no, because you want to accept the pluses and minuses of whatever you use. True. And with moving averages, recognizing that they're subjective. And if you change the length of MAs with for without a reason that makes sense, you're going to constantly lead to confusion. And what I'll say to that is one of the things that I have shared in, in the room or in webinars is using moving averages that relate to other moving averages and other time frames. For example, you know, on the 5MA, and I don't have moving averages on this one, on the 5MA, you'll see rather than using a 50, like this is a 50MA, I'll put a 60. And the reason I'll put a 60 is because it equals the 20MA on the 15-minute chart. So I know where the 20MA is on the 15-minute chart. So if the 60 is trending up and the 20 is trending up on the 5-minute, I know the 15 is trending up. And the 200, which really just would be the 240, but I put the 200, is equal to the 20MA on the 60-minute chart. So if prices are trending up and all of those moving averages are moving up, I know all those time frames are moving up. So and the way to understand that moving averages being subjective, what it's really telling you is that traders and all of those time frames are in alignment with their bias. So changing your moving averages in hopes of optimizing those moving averages for the stocks or futures you're looking at will just lead to a maze of confusion over time, because as market environments change, you'll want to change the moving averages, and so it just leads to some craziness. What I would share with you is that maybe if you were trading Forex, and not currencies, but Forex, you might want to use exponential instead of simple, because those traders tend to want to use more esoteric tools. But, of course, they'll be into Fibonacci's and Elliott waves and all, and, the deep end of, the insanity when it comes to technical analysis. All right. Crude oil is up a bit here. We talked about potential retest. It is trending down, but, it's on the support area. So that's moving up. Some oil stocks are moving up. Bonds are down a bit. So interest rates are up. Just kind of whipping back and forth here. Not doing much of anything there. You can see the 10-year, up a bit. A little pressure on the market, but another chart that just displays, I don't know which way this thing's going to go. Right? Breakdown from the head and shoulders. It whips up, it whips down. It's in the middle of the range. So whether you're a hedge fund with analysts all over the place, or you're an individual trader, look, we're all in the same spot, so to speak, to wondering, what's Trump going to say next? What's Musk going to find? What are they going to do? Is there going to be tariffs? So, eventually it'll pass. Bitcoin's up a bit here. Looked like it was starting to break down. Maybe it is. It's just up because it's just an uncertainty type of situation. Let me go to SPX. I'll just look at the transports quick here. The transports reaching their destination. So this has moved up quite nicely, off of that retest, but closing the void. And here's SPY. And you can see the buying right into the close right there. A little explosion right there. But look how it happened, how it broke down. And it was in the green. You might remember I saying, here was that we were looking at a 5-minute chart, and it broke down and it flipped right back up again. It was just whippy. And I mentioned, look, here's this breakdown and it's not following through. And then it retraced back up, and then it just went sideways and was like, okay. And I mentioned, was it just a short covering where, this was bearish and it broke down, and then it was like, hey, it's not going down. So, it's a little bit of I typed in the chat there earlier in the morning, a bit of a minefield out there. So we've got this bottoming tail bar, and prices are now gapping down in the middle of it, going nowhere. And SPX, things have tightened up a little bit. So it's down here. That's pretty close. But can it clear the highs? It's a tricky situation. So, gapping, it's not gapping down under this base. And so there've been buyers on the dip constantly. So I think the put side, when I picked something a little bit lower, thinking it would drop a little, we'll see. So you might be able to come up a little bit here. Ideally, it would have been under 50, but it's not. But so, it's not at support, but we know that buyers keep showing up on the dip no matter what. So with that in mind, I think the put strike should work out. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. See what alarms I got going off. Earnings, interest list. So alarms, JCI just had an up alarm here. I said try to sell a third on pre-market. Devon, bottoming pattern, oil gapping up a little bit, maybe 30-minute high. I think that had earnings yesterday. Said G. Yeah, wow, that's a monster gap. Yeah, that's earnings. We were going to buy this Friday, and yesterday, but for earnings. So that's a big gap. That looks like a long-term bottom now. Beyond dog meat had a nice close yesterday, Thomas. On volume. So yeah, I like it. I like it. That looks like a multi-month bottom. EQH alarm. Don't see any volume, but we're in this from Friday. TDC alarm. I've been watching this for a while. Big old gap. I had an alarm go off 2505, but this would be a nice day trade if it is gapping up there. Block. Up alarm. This ascending triangle. This is I gave this a naked put idea. Deck. We're watching Climo, Adobe. Today's session, MT Live. Continuation patterns. Here you go. There's exhibit A. And there's all flavors of continuation patterns. And this is a continuation breakout from after a breakout of a bottoming pattern. I got an alarm at 464. Sam gave us that yesterday. And that's it. Let's go to earnings. Yeah, I did one earnings that I'm not happy with right now. This one right here. No, not Echo Charlie. Charlie Echo. All right, so big old, potential bottoming pattern, I call it. I never would buy this pattern, but I noticed the weekly and monthly down so much, and I put, retest here on the weekly. And so we sell earnings if it's in your trading plan. You got to have the stomach for it. And they work the majority of the time until you get a big old gap like this. So we did the 60, 55. So that's a problem child. And I'll be watching at the open. It's got to, deal with it. ANET 104 call spread idea. Oxy opening flat. Was gapping down. I like Devon better. I don't know, I have Devon here. This must have been, yeah, so this was earnings last night. Yeah, I like it. Devon is a better pattern. Let me put them here in the bottom right. Comp 870, gapping up 10%. Ah, this is the one I said yesterday that I was looking at buying the calls as a directional trade, but it was too much. EQT, no pattern. EMW, nothing. CSGP 7250, bearish gap. 30-minute low call spread. Ah, Sam, you're Bumble. That is a nasty gap. That's percentage wise again. That is nasty. 810 to 650. That they might have some fundamental problems now. S block. We had a nice swing trade on that. Sold in the strength yesterday, but no pattern now. Sand, no pattern, but it's getting climactic. 4 gapping down 114, bearish gap, call spread, breakout failure, gapping down. Now, had this open flat, then I'd say you could buy over that red bar, but gapping down now, so no interest. No, Alex, he uses this one. Grinder. He uses this one. Is what I've heard. You know, I don't have proof. This is a big mess. Grinder. Oh, toll cookies is getting wet. That is an ugly gap. You know, everyone talks about a housing shortage, but you know, the flip of that is high interest rates are hurting both buyers and developers. You know, they got to buy the land and finance the building of these things, so higher interest rates hurt them too. Here's a bottoming pattern. Let's see if that can hold, and then maybe 10-minute high. Perk. Not bad. 30-minute high. It's making the turn here, and it's a buy setup on the weekly. Yeah, they had housing starts at 8:30. Yep, 104. So yeah, they're down, but obviously total on earnings. Flowers 57, bearish gap. I don't. There's going to be any premium on falls. 106, excessive. You know what? This is it's not climactic. This is a grinder, like Sam's dating app, but it's gapping up $10. So let's see. Let's see what it does. 30 minutes. Nothing. Down IFF. Call spread idea. Water, no pattern. Gapping down, nothing. Bottoming pattern, I can't see where it's opening, but it's a sloppy big old W bottom. Keep an eye on it. CBI. I mean, I see the prints here, but you've heard me say 100 times, if I don't see volume, I don't pay attention to it. Matador, nothing. True. Lose my pre-market. No. There's pre-market, so I don't know why so many of these have no prints. There's no volume here. But it shows a print, it's $3, but that's an ugly gap down. Nothing. Could be a continuation breakdown. And 294, very bullish gap, but excessive for me. That's a buy on a pullback though. That's the win, no prints. Lazy boy. No pattern. Gapping down. This is annoying. Why am I not seeing prints here? All right, I see two dots, so there's no volume. I want to come back to it. Verto will be able to come back to it. See our Bravo bottoming, quad gapping down. Mobex, like the way it trades. UIS 717. Not bad. 30-minute high idea. Good. Nothing. Well, I should have cleaned these out earlier. Sorry. I was busy this morning. Put spread idea. SMLR. These are all earnings still. 45 excessive gap. 1075, no pattern. Ugly gap down, 1450. It's a big old gap down, no pattern. Texas 29, bearish, call spread idea. Rush, nothing. Med, potential bottoming pattern. Nothing. Light volume. Look at all how it trades, but so I'm gonna delete you. This looks like a continuation short. I don't see any prints yet. All right, YouTube. GDX and shop. GDX, there's no pattern on the daily. It's extended. It's a bear 1, 2, 3 actually, with a climb on the weekly. So I would not touch that to the long side unless you're talking short, and that's why it's good for you all to talk to us. This one, we're actually in this. Wait, shop. This one, I would say maybe 30-minute high. Etel. A mountain low alarm. So we just made our third target of 159.25 on that opening print. Nice guess of a target. Went off right at the open and bounced. Beautiful. So then we should be out of that call spread. Yeah, it's bid 0. All right, Devin, bottom right. Oh, it actually can't. Oh, that's Don. Look at that, Don. I'm laughing at you and I typed your name in here, Don. How's that for Freudian? I meant to type Devin. That's a gap and go. That looks good. Oil's moving. If I can't do it now, I'm too darn busy at the open. But if somebody wants to throw out some oil ideas for directionals and put spreads, I'm all ears. Bilto, I had Oh, okay, thanks. But my oil ETFs are moving anyway. So, but yeah, no, good point. But still. All right, my break even alarm just went off on Vilto here. We're short this from yesterday. This just doesn't FYI. ESI looks good. Continuation. Breakout. XLP. Beyond Meat, that's a beautiful short-term bottom. It's up a lot from yesterday's low, but they got $4 puts for next week. 28 cents, which is very good premium. That suggests that there's earnings beyond 226. There you go. See, there's another. This thing is so bad. Earnings here says May, but it's next week, which is why the premiums are jacked. CSTM, that actually gapped under the low. My low alarm went off. We are in this. We have long puts. Let me reset the alarm lower. Yeah, Amazon. We did not get filled on our call spread yesterday. But that was in the weekend letter. Yeah, we didn't get filled. The other things, Tesla moving up. Tesla's the strongest one on the 15 right here, but it sells that up on the daily, which hasn't triggered. Guggenheimer, no pattern. QH. That's hanging in there fine. Reset the alarm. $55.60. The hourly chart of EQH is a bull rectangle. JCI, TDC, TDC, I'll reset the alarm. EVH low alarm, we are short that. That looks good. EVH. Set alarms. TDC doing nothing. I'll reset that alarm. Greg, our XLB. I wonder if this because of Trump. It's an ugly gap on our long calls. I just noticed the LYB gap down.
EE is in there.